Thank you, Marshall. Hi, everybody. Today is August 5th, 2026. This is a CalPADS Q&A, and my name is Alex Bondi. I'm a data analyst at CSIS supporting CalPADS, and driving for us today is going to be Mr. Gary Kerwer.
Hello.
And hi, Gary. Moving on to announcements. End of year one is over. The final deadline was last Friday, so huge congratulations to everybody that made the deadline. Thank you, everybody, for all of your hard work. We know that it's a big chunk of data, basically everything for the entire school year. So yeah, so thank you and congratulations on being done with that. And now we get to move on to end of year two. So end of year two's deadline is on August 17th, which is a Monday, and it's just 8 working days away from today. There is no amendment window for this one, but there is also no SELPA approval required. So what that means is when you get to the LEA approval, you'll see that certification status appear for end of year two. Um, the cohort data will also be pulled on August 17th. And as a reminder for folks, there is no certification report for cohort. The cohort reports live somewhere else in CalPADS. So when you're looking at your report tab in CalPADS, they're under the accountability and monitoring tab. So if you're new to CalPADS, if you're new to a high school district, make sure that you're looking at your cohort reports 15.1 and 15.2, and Gary's showing you how to navigate to those reports right now. Just because they're in a different spot, they're not part of your certification, but they are going to be pulled on that same date. And just like end of year two, cohort data is going to impact your California dashboard and CCI and all that good stuff. So if you are an LEA with a high school, these reports are super important that you review and make sure that they're as accurate as possible. There was a communication sent out regarding end of year two deadlines by the CalPADS office that was sent out this Monday, August 3rd. And it talked about all of the deadlines that we just talked about and the importance of making the deadline. So if you have people at your district who are perhaps a little bit MIA right now because it's summer, maybe school hasn't started yet, maybe send this as a reminder just to make sure that everyone is up to speed. It's coming up real fast. And lastly on my list are fall one trainings. And for that, I'm going to send that over to Matt.
All right. Thank you so much, Alex. So our live training courses for fall one are now posted on the CSIS training registration page, which it looks like Gary is driving us to. You can get there by clicking professional learning at the top there. There are 2 instances of Fall 1 data population, Fall 1 reporting and certification, and Fall 1 advanced that are all taking place in September. And we have an SSID anomalies functionality training in October. I'll go ahead and drop a link to the CSIS training registration page in chat now. And we ask that you please visit the registration page and register for our Fall 1 live training courses in September. And I just dropped that link in chat there for folks. Our goal is to publish the self-paced training videos for these courses on the CSIS YouTube training channel prior to our first live session on September 3rd. So you should look for the training videos on YouTube prior to September 3rd. And we will additionally be posting the registration for the September regionals and for our Audit for Administrators roadshows occurring in October. We'll be posting the registration for those courses in the next kind of coming days. By next Friday, everything should be posted. So please do be on the lookout for further course offerings for 26-27, and we will be sure to announce the additional courses are posted in next week's Q&A. That's all I've got, Alex.
Thank you very much. Angela, do you have anything you want to?
We did have a deployment go in last week, Alex, but yesterday, but I just got the handoff a few minutes ago, so Kyron is updating this now. So within, I don't know, half an hour, this list should be up to date. And we are not having one next week because that's another deadline week. So the following Tuesday is our next update. but again, if critical things come up, we will patch if needed. That's all I had today, Alex.
Thank you. Dominic, anything from the SPED office?
Nothing today.
Short and sweet. Was there anybody from the CALPADS office here?
Sean's here.
Sean, anything you want to
Hello,
say
I
to the
don't have
group?
any updates.
Okay,
Thank you.
then thank you. We're going to start off then with questions. And we're starting off with Sue-Ann. Question 1. I have to ask one more time. When will the SPED guide be posted?
For my part, I don't have. It's been out of my hands for a while, so I don't really have any visibility on that.
I think we were waiting on the user manual facelift, right?
That sounds familiar.
Next we have Ethan's question 1. It says, for the new reclassification rate calculations, what fields are being used to determine last school where the student was enrolled as an EL? For example, if we had a CCE with another LEA for the whole school year for an EL student, which school's RFEP rate denominator will they be counted in? I would think it's the later enrollment end date that drives it, but maybe you're using later entry date instead. Something else? I'm not familiar with the reclassification rate calculation. Anybody else? Does that ring a bell?
Probably have to go digging for that answer, Ethan. That might be a ticket-worthy question.
Okay. So Ethan, if you could put that in as a ticket, that would be helpful. Oh, it says there was just a webinar and a deck, but they didn't define terms. I'll send a ticket. Thanks. Okay. So then it might be a rate that's calculated outside of CalPADS, is my guess. But
yeah, did they mention where is it DataQuest, Ethan?
Yeah, but it's not, so I don't recall them mentioning that. So the call that just ended was the ETS call.
Mhm.
Forgive me for, I don't even know what ETS stands for. Educational Testing Service. That was for LPAC. I don't recall them mentioning this, Ethan, but Moses just talks fast. So you can go back and watch the recording, but specifically for RFEP and the reclassification rate, that is going to be for dashboard. And so that's where you'll find that information.
It looks like Evan has
Thank
a
you,
link.
Evan.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's the Padlet that you can ask the question there for as well too. If you need clarification on what either Moses or the other guy said, and I don't remember his name either. I'm sorry. We know me and names. I'm sorry.
Okay. So hopefully that helps. Yeah. So if that information doesn't answer your question, Ethan, go ahead and send in the ticket and we'll try to give you some guidance on that. Moving on to Leah's question 1. How do districts handle parents who take extended trips overseas of over 30 days? Do you enroll them in your homeschool program, mark them absent and SARB them, disenroll and re-enroll them, or use another process? Homeschool has been suggested to us, but I have questions about how they can meet the requirements, especially the live interaction and synchronous instruction portion. Second question, does it differ depending on whether they're initially enrolled in traditional school versus homeschool? This isn't hypothetical. I have a parent planning a 3-month trip to the Philippines in the middle of the school year, and I'm looking for specific direction.
So thank you, Leah, for your question. Leah, this is a LEA question specifically, and how your district is going to process those students. Each LEA must have a guidance for that. Most of, to my knowledge, all do. You just may not be aware of it at your LEA, and that's understandable. I would recommend that you reach out to your attendance coordinator or supervisor, because I promise you there is written documentation on how your LEA handles those specific students, and or consult with them just as an overview, because typically it's going to be a case by case incident for each student, depending on what's going on with that student and the various, details for them. So I highly recommend that you reach out to them. I'll also place the FAQ from the CALPADS office, though, inside of your question there.
Perfect. I'll leave this there for you, Sean, so that whenever you're done, it'll just go to the answered. But if people want to chime in and share what your process is or what you do locally at your district, that is Leah's question at 3:02 p.m. We're going to move on to Heather from Shasta COE. Question 1 reads, a district has a student born outside the U.S. that later became a U.S. citizen. They want to know if they should record the student as a U.S. citizen or use their original birth country. My guess is their original birth country still applies, place of birth, but want to be certain. Thanks. Our documentation, I think it's the SIMF. I think it's in the SIMF. It's the birth country, right?
Yeah.
We don't record any kind of citizenship for students in CalPADS. We don't track that at all.
We don't. There are about 5 fields that might be relevant to similar considerations. We have the enrolled in a U.S. school less than 3 cumulative years indicator, birth country, birth city, birth state, and initial U.S. enrollment date. If you have all of that information, it's important to record it in CalPADS accurately, but we never ask about citizenship. We just ask for those fields in the SIMF.
And Ethan has a good point. Birth country never changes. It doesn't matter about citizenship. Student's birth country doesn't change.
Thanks, everybody. Next is Asia's question 1. Please remind me, students in public schools are to receive a home language survey just once during their initial public school enrollment, correct? They don't need another home language survey when switching from one district to another, correct? That is correct. It should just be, as you said, as at the entry of their first public school enrollment in California. There's a couple comments here. That should be true. However, some districts will redo the home language survey. Sometimes it changes when the parents decide to make a change to the language reported. I don't know, and I wasn't at this webinar. I don't know if there were different guidance. There's different guidance, but the last I know was that the home language survey goes, is provided just the one time. But if there are any clerical errors, then you can change it. I don't know if the parent wants to make a change. Oh, Rebecca says, when can parents make changes to home language survey? If the home language survey is completed incorrectly by the parent or guardian, they may request to revise the response prior to the LEA administering the LPAC, specifically the initial LPAC.
That is correct.
So once a student is identified as an EL on the basis of the results of the initial LPAC or the alternate LPAC, then the student has been administered the summative LPAC or summative alternate LPAC. Revising or correcting the home language survey is no longer allowable unless there was an administrative error. So thanks, Rebecca, for finding that and sending that over. And I do go back to this PDF that Rebecca has sent did the copy paste from. Classification process at a glance is my go-to when dealing with home language survey stuff and correcting language statuses. So that's a handy document to have. Next is Rochelle. Question 1. We were just on a webinar with ETS where the presenter recommended the school sites regularly use the SSID match tool. Can you please clarify CALPADS guidance on who is expected to use the SSID match tool? Should sites have access to this for a reason?
Go for it, Alex.
I was just going to say, if you have the SCNR edit role, you should have access to the SSID match tool. And the SSID match tool is, oh, Gary has it up on the screen. Thank you, Gary. So you can use that ideally all the time, right? But it really functions, it benefits if you have a group of students, right? That you don't want to do more than, one at a time. So I know what it is. Should secretaries have access to this? It's a local decision. It's whoever has SCNR edit. So if you feel comfortable giving your secretaries SCNR edit and you feel like this is the role that they should perform, then that's something that you decide. I know that there are districts out there who are a little bit more stringent upon who has access to do SCNR edits. So I don't know if anybody else on the team has a different.
I'd say she's probably intuitively correct that I'd be hesitant to have, as people that aren't fully trained on CALPADS to have that role, because just this week we had a ticket where an experienced user took that SCNR file, meant to use the SSID match tool, and uploaded it in the regular SCNR, which CALPADS then turned around and gave them all brand new SSIDs. And he didn't want that. So just is something to be careful. That's a gotcha. Luckily, his file only had 14 students in it, so it wasn't catastrophic. But if you had, 800 kids in there and you meant to put it through the tool and not the get me a brand new SSIDs. So I think it is a local decision, but just be cautious that, make sure they fully understand what they're doing and how to use it. I'll put the training link in the chat too for anybody that wants to use that. And I wasn't on that call, so I don't know, Sean, do you have more context about why they were giving that advice?
So Moses gave the advice because of students completing the HLS now and new students, needing to take the initial LPAC. And so basically ensuring that you're not creating duplicate SSIDs. And so using the SSID match tool first and foremost to make sure that student already, has a record, or identifying if that student already has a SSID. And so therefore you don't create a duplicate SSID and then have to go through the merge process.
Yeah.
I might recommend coordination between the EL folks and the CALPADS coordinators for this purpose, instead of extending permissions out to additional folks.
And Matt, you are absolutely correct. That is what Moses led with. He discussed that the very first part of the call. He discussed about relationships. And so you saw various CDE staff members on there, not just from the CALPADS office. Although I feel bad for Sarah. I feel great for Sarah and the fact that she gets shouted out, but I also feel bad for Sarah because her name got mentioned so many times. But I was like, she's gonna be a nice rock star that's sought after right now. But you also had our ADAD folks on the call as well. And for those of you for ADAD, it is our testing division within CDE.
Yeah, so if it's just a handful of students that are trickling in, I would probably just share the online maintenance lookup feature with them, and then they can assign SSIDs individually that way. I'd probably be hesitant to teach them how to use the SCNR. Site secretaries, I mean.
And we are done with questions at the moment.
I do have an update. Kyron was able to update the fixed issues. So that page is current. Gary, if you wanted to navigate over there. Too much camping got you.
Yeah,
You can just do it at the bottom.
Yeah.
there we go. I already had it up and then I took it off. Yeah, I didn't think that webinar was going to get over in time because I had to leave early to set up for this or get this, and you still had half the agenda to go through, and that was like at 10 minutes to 3. So he must have really screamed through the last bit.
Oh, Tanya, question 1. If students received special education certificate of completion, do they count as a dropout? No. If you're looking at the 15.1 report, which is your cohort report, they would show up under their own bucket, I believe. And Gary's taking us to the mapping guides, I believe.
Yes.
So there should be
Which
120, I think. Each of 30, 120 is the certificate of completion.
there it is.
Yeah. So column 16. We're going to go up to column 16.
Sorry, this is so small.
Yeah. And that, yeah, there's, if you click on it, it'll
There
open
you
up.
go.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's the special ed certificate of completion column. So you should expect to see those students counted in that count. If they're within the cohort, I should specify that. They're within that cohort year. Moving on, Carrie from Palo Alto. Question 1. Should we do a one-day summer enrollment E125 for a SPED student who aged out after summer school, still received services through ESY so that we have an enrollment match with the SWDS exit? No, I don't think that's necessary. Dominic, correct me if I'm wrong, but we
Yeah, no,
don't
I
do.
agree. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say we don't do ESY enrollments and non, what's the terminology for this? Non-eligible and participating. So anything other than that status doesn't have to overlap with an enrollment. Right? So a student that exited or is no longer eligible can have a date that's after their enrollment exit, and CALPADS will take that. Kareem, question 1. Will there be an ERD validation for the new discipline exit codes? Something like if a T166 is used and the subsequent school should be an alternative school. It's a good question.
Very good question. We haven't talked about that at any of our change meetings yet. Could bring it up tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm. I just got back from vacation, so to me this is a Monday. I had to think about what tomorrow was, but yeah.
Change an issue tomorrow.
Yeah. Next is Shelley. Question 1. We had a student pass away during the summer. I'm very, very sorry to hear that. He had matriculated from his last school in May and was pre-enrolled to a high school to start today. Do I exit him from the high school with an N470 or change the matriculation to deceased? I'm not sure if there is a need to indicate that he deceased in CALPADS. So first, again, my condolences for the student's passing. The high school exit can be an N470 because the student it was their first time that they were enrolling in that high school and they ended up obviously not being able to attend. So N470 is appropriate. Changing the matriculation to deceased, I don't know that that's necessary. I don't know what folks in this call think. I wouldn't think it's necessary.
It does show in the definition, the student passed
Oh,
away while enrolled in school or student completed the school year but was expected to return and died during the summer break.
thank you
But
for
he's
that.
not, I guess he's not returning to the same school.
Oh, yeah, he was not returning to the same school. Sean, do we have any preference on this from the CalPADS office?
I was typing and
Oh,
so I lost the question. I don't know what the question is, Alex.
oh, it's okay. It's Shelley's question at 327. Unfortunately, a student passed away over the summer, and they finished their middle school year. They were about to matriculate over to the high school. So the question here is, do they change the matriculation from last year's exit to E230, sorry, an E130 for deceased, or do they leave the matriculated exit?
I would change it um, after the close of fall. Wait, they're going to high school or they're going to
Hmm.
middle?
Yeah, they finished,
It's
I
seven.
think, eighth grade or, whatever their middle school.
So I would change
I
it
guess.
after fall two, after the close of fall, not fall. Oh Lord, I'm so sorry. After EOY two, the close of EOY two, because yes, you're correct. They would have been they should have been an eighth grader exiting going to ninth grade, and so just in case I would show the matriculation record there. Um, especially if the student took any of the, oh, what are those courses called? The CTE courses and everything. Um, and EOY two. One, two. Yes. Um, so I would show it there. If they did not, then you could go ahead and change it prior to the close. Since EOY one has already closed, you could go ahead and change it now. Does that make sense?
Um, and then here on the screen, you're seeing,
This
what
is
is
something
this here?
Rebecca put. The
Oh,
link Rebecca put up.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, and since they're grade level, that's why I said since their grade level is 7 through 12, that's why I recommended keeping it. And because you're highlighting that students, their success and their progress. But we also understand that, sadly they have passed away. And so the high school should not be the ones to update it because they haven't officially started school there.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, Shelley. Hope that answers that question. Um, Next we have a question 2 from Tanya. Says, should we be reporting adult school enrollments to CalPADS? What about their completion status? I No. So adult school enrollments, students with grade level AD don't come up anywhere in CalPADS reports. They are not really, they're just, they live in CalPADS, but they don't really do anything for you. If you have students with disabilities that are on an IEP that are adult students, but you're still servicing them, then they should not have a grade level of AD. They should have a grade level of 12. So those students should be reported because you're still providing services, but they should be under a grade 12 enrollment. Any other student that's just attending an adult school, I guess right now it's optional, but we don't do anything with the data. So um, I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything.
Well, I just happened to be reviewing Paula's documentation updates.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I just read
Explicitly
this.
says you don't, you may, but you don't have to. And I think people are kind of leaning at the department of getting rid of AD altogether. So read into that
That would
what
be
you
my
will.
preference. Yeah. Um,
We
so
have
I mean,
discussed retiring the AD grade level with the field in a meeting as well, and it seems like folks are generally pretty on board with retiring that code.
I am for whatever that's worth. It just, I think, adds a lot of confusion about should I not, when is it appropriate? And the truth of the matter is that, again, grade level equal to AD does nothing for you. Just gives you
Gives you
another
more
record
work.
to maintain. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So if it is a student with disabilities that you're still providing services for, then that should be a grade 12, and you should be reporting that student.
Alex, Dominic, and I have figured out if you threaten to end the meeting, someone will put more questions
It's guaranteed.
in.
Okay, well, give folks a minute or two in case they're trying to remember what question it was they wanted to ask. Hopefully everybody's staying cool out there. You know, there's some places in California that are either on fire or feel like they're on fire. So
Yeah, I had a pretty miserable week, but the Delta breeze finally kicked in last night. It's very nice.
Yeah, I don't think we're only at 93 here in Sacramento, so, or at least where
Yeah,
I'm at.
this is totally bearable. I
Yeah.
can tolerate this.
yeah, I know.
Like, I
Only.
seriously feel bad for you all because I'm suffering and I live by the beach. And I'm like, this is my air conditioning. And I'm just like, wow.
Mhm.
Okay. So yes. This is truly hot though for Southern California. I'm at 82 degrees right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I was in San Diego this weekend and it was 85. And we were like, oh
Yes.
my God, this is awful.
That part. I'm like, I'm just
Oh no. Claudia says it hit 117.
Oh,
okay,
Oh,
never mind. Mm-mm.
where's
oh
Whoa,
that?
no.
El Centro.
Oh, my neck of the woods.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
okay. Yeah. I I I lived in Calexico for the first 18 years of my life, and then I didn't end up going back.
I can see why.
Yeah, but it can go up to like 121 or something
Oh
crazy
my
like that.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I have
Um,
part of
uh-huh.
my family's from El Centro. It used to be a rite of passage to go back in the summer. After
Ah.
my generation, it ended, so all my little cousins are soft.
That seems almost cruel. Why go in the
It
summer?
was, and that was in the days where you were told to go play outside.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. We have a few more questions. So Evan has a question one, says, as a follow-up to Ethan's earlier question, at the RFEP data webinar, the AMAR team indicated that when determining the denominator for the calculation, which includes all English learners as well as those reclassified during that year, an EL who was enrolled at more than one school or LEA during the year would be counted at the school in which they were last enrolled as an EL student that academic year. So wouldn't that be determined by the enrollment start date? In this case, he had a CCE anomaly. Mm, because it's their calculation, I'm a little hesitant to provide an answer. And then Ethan says some more language from their page. As mentioned earlier, the final place of enrollment during the academic year is what determines where the EL student is included in the denominator of the RFIP date.
So on the RFEP page that Kyron just posted in chat there, they do have a section for the denominator. And in that section, it says EL students who are enrolled at one or more schools during the academic year will be counted at the school in which they were last enrolled as an EL. And then it provides a scenario table below for with student A in 4 schools. I think that section would provide the most information for you.
And I think the question is what derives, and that's what Ethan said, what derives the final place of enrollment? Is it the greater exit date is what I would assume.
I don't totally recall, but since this is AMARDS, I'm gonna
Right.
ask that question go to dashboard because they control the documentation on that. It's their denominator in their reports.
Mhm.
Or data quest, same thing. I mean, not same thing, sorry. Same division.
Yeah. My assumption would be that they're looking at the enrollment exit date, but again, I don't know. So yeah, Ethan, if you can go to or send that question over to dataquest@cde.ca.gov. I think they would be the best people to be able to provide that answer for you. Let's see here. Daphne, question 1. When are we able to begin uploading 26-27 data in CalPads? Judy says after the rollover, and Chris says when your EOY is finalized. Personally, I would agree that when your EOY is done, then you're kind of just finished with that chapter and you can move on. However, there are instances in which you may need to or want to start 26-27 data, maybe not in full, but in certain cases, like if you're doing initial LPAC testing for your incoming TKs or kindergarten students, that may be a reason why you want to do early 26-27 enrollments. If you have super seniors that are going to be continuing on and you want to make sure that the cohort puts these students as still enrolled instead of dropouts, that's also a really good reason why you want to do your 26-27 enrollments now. So I think ultimately it's your call, but if you want it to be on the safe side and just make sure that it's not going to impact any of your end of year, then I would wait until end of year is finalized. But if you're done with end of year 2, then I guess you're ready to go. There are some modifications to like our exit codes, for example, right? For 26-27, that won't be available until, or is it available now?
Not yet.
No, right? It's the rollover, right?
Yep.
So, and that is August 25th when that is scheduled to happen. So, it's not too long of a wait if you wanted to wait for that as well. But I don't know how many exits you already have right now. So,
Also, just because I had an experience, if you are a charter school and you get reauthorized and have a different CDS code, you have no choice but to wait until the rollover. So if you're an SBE and now becoming a NLA on a charter school separately, then you have to wait until that code is in CalPads.
Yeah.
So just an aside on that, up until yesterday, you could enroll students 6 months into the future. So whatever day it is for 6 months from now, you could start enrolling kids. It wasn't best practice, but CalPads allowed it. But as of yesterday, that validation got tightened down a little bit. So now it's only letting you go 3 months into the future. You probably missed that, Alex, because you were out of the office.
Did. We're going to move on to Amanda. Question 1 says, how come the LEAP file is an LEA file only? We had trouble with the charter school who reports through us accessing and uploading it. You mean like why isn't there a school field on the LEAP file?
I think that's what she means.
Okay. So the reason why is because there was, oh, okay. So the user only has a school level account and they can't access it. It's a good question. Well, so the reason why there isn't a school field in the LEAP file is because of the way that students attend LEAP programs. So there could be a student that is in school A during the regular year, but took extended learning program in school B, for example, either over the summer or after school or, in some other time frame. And so trying to create validations for that or making like which school should you assign in that scenario it was way too messy. And so we figured a student is in an extended learning program for the LEA. And so regardless of what school they attended and or participated, it is for the LEA. And that's why we didn't have a school field in the LEAP file. And because of that is why we don't have, they don't have access at the school level account, unfortunately. Chris, question 1 says, I was not clear on the response to Shelley's question 1. Would the middle school update the matriculation code to E130, create a one-day enrollment in summer to report the E130 or other? I assume we want to preserve info. So the way I understood it, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, the advice was to hold off on changing it until end of year 2 is complete. And once end of year 2 is complete, then we can change the middle school exit from an E230 480 or 485 to an E130 so that, you know, we can have the full picture and not expect any other kind of data for the student after that.
That's absolutely correct, Alex. So it wouldn't create the one-day enrollment,
Right.
Chris, because they're ultimately not changing any dates. They're just changing the exit code to reflect the student's latest status.
And next is Tanya's question 3 says, is there a CALPADS report that is easy to identify the CCI measurements that were completed per student measurements and students who count towards CCI? And then Rebecca says, no, do not know of an easy way to pull this data, but you would have to look at the cohort report 15.2.
There is the connecting the dashboard to CalPADS reports PDF.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting it in the chat box. There are a lot of reports you will need to run, but
right,
that should give you a path towards that.
Yeah. We don't have one cool report that gives you all the different measures, but I would say that the 15.2 will give you most of them, and it'll include students who count towards your CCI because those are your students in your 4-year cohort. But just as a reminder, the CCI also has students that are 5th-year grads. So it's not 100%, it won't be 1-to-1, but it will give you the closest thing, I would say. And then, as Karen mentioned, and up on the screen, you have the connecting the dashboard of CalPADS reports. So it gives you a breakdown of how you can review your reports in CalPADS, what filters to use, and all that good stuff. So super helpful document as well. Mm-hmm. David, question 1. What is the quickest way to check a student's direct cert status? The extract?
No, online maintenance. You guys always forget this, Alex and Gary.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was
there's a direct certification link. There you go.
That's right.
Always
you
forget
have to remember this every once in a while, huh?
And it should be SIN 7.1. That's another thing.
Certified Sense 7.1.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. So under online maintenance. Okay. Oh, and you can search by SSID.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks. We are done again with questions. Nope. One more. Amanda's question 2. Let's follow up on my first question. How can a charter upload the LEAP file? Do districts give them LEA access? No, if the charter does all the reporting through their authorizing district, which would be the LEA, then the LEAP file is part of it. If you don't have that as part of your SIS, your student information system, then you would have to coordinate with whoever uploads your other files and get that in there. Although I suppose
I would hesitate giving them that access because the LEAP is a replacement processing file.
Aha, that's a good point.
So
Okay.
the district file should include the charter schools if they're reporting under you, Amanda.
So, I don't know if this is a question. Is that West Contra Coast?
We can't
For
hear
the-
you. Sean,
You're breaking up,
cutting,
Sean.
cutting out.
Oh, I was asking, is that West Contra Costa?
Yes.
I think
see
so,
it.
yeah.
So they're for 26, 27. Yeah, for 26, 27, they're an IRC.
What's an IRC?
The
No,
for 26 for
West Contra
26,
Costa
20
County, so Amanda's at the district office. She's at the Unified. She's asking about a charter school, and I'm presuming one that reports under her as an authorizer, not an IRC.
From what I understand, there was one charter that reported, but the relationship has changed
Okay.
to them being an IRC. So they would send up their own data.
Yeah, for the IRC, they have to send an application to get their own LEA admin access, and they'll do it on their own.
Yeah, and it says our charter is an IRC. And oh no, that
That's
was what
someone
Rebecca
else.
said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But ultimately, it whoever does your CalPADS reporting, that's the same entity / person that should be uploading your LEAP file. Okay. Next is Chantel, question 1. I saw some advice to wait until the rollover to upload 26, 27 data, but we start school tomorrow and the testing coordinator is anxious to get these students in TOMS. So I uploaded files already. Will that be a problem?
Nope.
I don't think so, yeah. I think, like we said, there were some changes that we need to wait until the rollover, like the new exit codes, for example. But I wouldn't anticipate anyone needing to exit so soon. And rollover is on the 25th of August, so it's not like we're going to wait a long time, right, to be able to get those exits updated should you need it. All right. Again,
People in their chat are saying you can basically use somebody's pool like an Airbnb.
huh?
Like, really?
But then what about like when you need like to use the restroom? Unless they have a restroom outside, I guess that's.
Yeah, some of them have a restroom, like and they might have like a shower or so as well too
Yeah.
there. Some of them don't, and they'll mention it, in there that they don't, but they're normally like a 2-hour like window or so that you run them for and everything. I only know because we did it in another state or whatever. And so yeah,
Oh, wow.
we
But
did it for a
the
party.
owners could just be hanging out in their home and then you just are using their pool.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a good business opportunity.
Pays for your cleaning your pool cleaning service.
Yeah.
Shelly's asking, did you say rollover is August 25th or August 28th? The 25th, right? I believe. That's what I had in my calendar.
That's what I had in my head.
Yes, August 25th. Well,
I can fill this space with a shameless plug that our Fall 1 trainings are now on the CSIS training registration page in case you missed the announcements at the top of the hour there. So our Fall 1 courses start in September. We have 2 instances of data population, reporting and certification, and advanced. And then we have an SSID anomalies course in October. Those are the live sessions. We do plan to post the on-demand versions on the CSIS YouTube training channel prior to the first course on September 3rd. So please do go to the training registration page and register for our Fall 1 courses.
There's always something new in CalPads.
That's for sure.
We just transitioned into EOI 2 and we're talking about Fall 1 training already.
Uh-huh. No
That's-
rest for the weary.
Yeah, that's what keeps it interesting.
Right. Well, there's nothing else than 4 minutes back, but if we didn't answer your question, if you still have lingering follow-ups, please send in a ticket. Otherwise, we shall see you next week, same time, same link. And yeah, stay safe and have a good rest of your week.